My name's Delaney, and I have the honor of meeting some pretty cool people. These are the entrepreneurs, the artists, the creatives, the game changers that are making a positive impact in the people that they meet. And I'm a firm believer that the people that you meet can get you anywhere you want to go. And this show is my way of sharing them with you. It's my way of also helping you meet cool people. All right, welcome back, guys. Eli here, and audio, pictures, all the stuff are going to be a little bit different today because I am actually recording this from my daughter's spare bedroom in Nampa, Idaho. This last week was my birthday, and like last Friday, I'm recording this on Monday. And so all my regular gizmos and gadgets are not here, but I wanted to record this video and kind of just go, holy crap, it's been a year. It amazes me because last year, November 22nd of 2023, yeah, 024, 2023, I launched the Meet Cool People podcast. And that was kind of my birthday present to myself. It was the only bit of work that I did that day was making sure that my first episode went live, which kind of freaked me out a little bit. And come to think about it, I was actually here back then as well. And I came here this year because I like to celebrate my birthday with my family more than anything else. And I was like, okay, so it's now been a year that I have done this. We are out at episode, let's see, which one did we just launch? We just launched it's technically episode 54, but it's 53 because of the fact that I had like my episode 0 in there. But yeah, like this episode right now that I am recording is 55. Pretty cool. You know, I was talking to several people recently. One of them, we actually had an interview that I did just a while back. This was episode 49 with Rob Conlon about podcasting. And there's something like the fact that most episodes or most podcasts don't even make it past 5. And if they make it to like that 20 mark, you're like in the top 1% or something like that. It's crazy. And I've made a commitment to show up here every week with a show for you guys. There's been a couple times it's been pretty dicey. The next one is probably going to be another solo episode for the very simple reason that my main computer blew up. I'm actually recording this right now on a 10-year-old laptop. So it's another good reason to not have all the extra gizmos and gadgets and fancy stuff. Hopefully I'll have that back very soon so I can get the next week's episode up and running for you guys. But if you think about that, when you just go through and think about the fact that something like this, the commitment that I put together for this is so much more than so many people. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because it's cool to think I made that commitment. And I love being able to share that with you guys. One of the things that's been super cool about all of this is the feedback that I'm getting from other people about the show. Because I get people coming in and they're just like, I want to be a guest on your show because I've listened to your show and you have some amazing conversations, which is so cool. And I'm bringing in some amazing people. I mean, I've got this like literally right in front of me. I've got the whole lineup here. And we're going through is like, my first guest was Adam Hommey. Long time friend of mine. We have known each other. I think we figured out it was like 2012, 2013, something like that. We've known each other for a super long time. Very cool dude. He's also in the podcasting world. And so I thought that was like a great way to launch the show. And the funny thing a lot of people don't even realize is that this show was actually set up. I had recorded episodes of this 4 years prior. Or no, 2 years, 2 years prior. And I just wasn't in a good mental state to be doing it. And I put the whole project on the back burner, sat on it for quite a while before I decided it was time to bring it back out. And when I did that, I actually had interviewed Adam back at the time for the first show. And his was one of like 5 episodes that I had recorded. And it was really good that I didn't launch it back then because I was not in a really good place. And my energy was different. My attitude was different. And you could hear that in my voice. It was very non-confident, I guess is a really good way to put it. And so it was cool to go back and compare that very first time That was in 2019, 2020, I think. 2020 when I had first recorded that episode with Adam and didn't use it, and then recorded a new one at the end of 2023, and it was like, wow, this is cool. Okay. And then we went through, and there's so many amazing people that I've had through so many different networks. Sally Gibbon, she was actually my next guest on the show. She came in through CLA, Connected Leaders Academy. That's how we had met. And we hit it off, had a good conversation there. We have Steve Gamlin, who's also a podcast dude. He is a speaker. He's an amazing, amazing friend. And he and I had met through Apex at a live event. We just happened to sit down and, we happened to be in line at Starbucks grabbing lunch one day at an event and sat down, got to know each other. So funny because we run in so many different, so many close circles, but we had never connected before, and then just happened to literally be standing in line together, getting lunch one day. And then immediately after that, Lisa Manyon, who I have been friends with for many, many years. Back in the day, we actually were both guests on a live radio show, and that's how we got introduced. And at the time, we both lived in Oregon. I was in northern Oregon, in Portland. She was in southern, and we hit it off, and we were like two peas in a pod. And after all these years, of course, she was one I wanted to bring on the show. So we have all these people that we've got so many different groups. And, Martin Salama, he was on episode 7. I met him through, I don't even remember, where did I actually meet him? I met him. It was actually really funny. I met him through somebody else from the UK had introduced the two of us, and they had been working together, and she had said, you need to talk to Eli because he can help you with your email marketing stuff. And so he became a client. And from then, he ended up getting involved with a lot of people that I had been part of in organizations in the speaking and the coaching community. And, it's so funny because we became very good friends. He was a great client, but we got reintroduced through other things, which led to a whole different bunch of stuff. And I go through this list. I'm looking at this. Right now, that was literally episode 6, right? So I'm just barely starting the surface here. Jennifer Loading was one. She was on episode 10. She was somebody here I shouldn't say here because I'm in Nampa, but in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we got introduced because of somebody else that I know through Success Champions, Jeffrey Casanova, which he is also a guest of the show. And, she's got such a cool story. And especially her journey of going through all the health stuff that she's been doing and everything is pretty amazing. And I'm just looking at this list, and I'm looking at where all these people came from, which is why Meet Cool People is what it is because, as the intro says, I love to travel around. I don't even like to travel. What I like is I like just meeting cool people. I like going to events and getting to just meet random strangers in different types of places and getting to know them and becoming friends with them. Some of these people, I'm looking down this list, Lori Lyons, we got introduced through Danella Burnett, and she was a client of mine for a long time. She introduced me to Donnie Bolvin, who is not a guest on the show yet. He will be at some point. We have a running joke by the way. But she introduced me to Donnie. Donnie convinced me to check out Success Champions, which is his networking group. Because of that, I've met a lot of these other people. That's where I met Jeffrey. Jeffrey introduced me to Jennifer that I was just talking about. And I'm going through here. It's like Jeffrey's introduced me to a bunch of people. Jeffrey's been a guest on the show. Through Success Champions, we had Bravis Brown, and this guy is a brilliant, brilliant mind. And normally, he's not in that speaker coaching community that I've been part of for so long. So I would have never met him otherwise. And then Jen Grosso is another great example. She and I met through another group. I think it might have been Connected Leaders Academy, but we hit it off, had a great time. And the great thing about it was she happened to be coming to the Dallas area for an event. And so we ended up getting to meet in person, hanging out, took her to a barbecue place. It was so much fun, right? And I'm bouncing through these people. We have Bernie DeSantis. We've got Greg Wizerman. If I spell that or if I say that right, I forget. I always just call him Greg. That I brought him in. He and I got connected when he was part of Cast Magic, which is a piece of software that I use to help me with the transcriptions and stuff for my podcast. And he actually reached out to me saying, hey, I'm part of the community. I'd love to chat with you. And we ended up getting on a chat, hitting it off. And I brought him in as a guest of the show, which was just a lot of fun, and a super, super cool dude. He's doing a ton of stuff in the podcasting world right now, like as a guest and as a speaker and stuff like that, and I keep on going through some of this stuff. Kevin Breeding. Okay. He was number 26. I met him here in the Dallas area, but that was in 2019. I was here for a mastermind event with Kevin Thompson. Kevin Thompson, he and I actually met originally through Joe Polish back in the day, right? Because he was part of Genius Network. And that's how we originally had met. So I'm going down this list. We've got episode 29, the Brownie Queen Cat, right? So I met her in Miami when I was speaking, and we ended up becoming really quick friends. And I still see her once a month on our Meet Cool People meetups, right? She comes in. She's just an amazing person. And I'm going through this list even further as episode 32, a much more recent one, was actually with my longest standing friend, Debbie Potter. She and I have known each other since first grade, but she runs Snake River Barkery, and she she's gone through so much to learn nutrition for animals, for dogs, and she's created these treats, and she goes through massive testing and all this other stuff to make sure that people have healthy treats for their animals, especially their furry dogs, because of the fact that there's so many treats out there that are just crap. It's just bad stuff. And so her story is fun to share. And I'm going through this list and seeing all these different people I've met, all these different places. And it's just fun to see where they all came from. And I share all this with you because of the fact that, the favorite quote that I've ever created myself. And, I find some stuff that I say and I'm like, hey, that's actually kind of cool. But my favorite one's one that I've been using for years. The people that you meet will get you anywhere you want to go. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that if you pay attention and you put yourself out there and get to know other people, have good conversations, and that means that could be anywhere, honestly. I get a lot of it. For a long time, it was when I was speaking at events is where I would meet all these cool people. Sometimes I was attending events. Now I'm doing a lot of networking. I'm doing more speaking again, mostly in the Dallas area, Dallas-Fort Worth area. So because of that, a lot of it is all local now. But I meet these people from all over the place, and they're just phenomenal individuals. Everything across the board, careers that you wouldn't believe, some of the stories that they have to tell. And the great thing is these people are helping connect me to other cool people. That's what it's all about, right? And the whole reason I share all of this with us, I'm looking through this list again. Let's see, even people like Kelly Dickerson, who is fairly new in business when we recorded. She does health insurance. She's helping people, especially small business, self-employed type of people, find good choices for their, for healthcare. By the way, that was episode 42. She's somebody that I met at a networking event. She's part of Success Champions, and we've gotten to be really good friends. She's become a client of mine, and she's just a cool gal, lots of fun. And it's so fun to just, she and I'll talk about, what's going on in the world and the things that she's working on in business and stuff like that. And I'll share some stuff I'm doing on mine. And, it's cool because we'll go to business events and we'll run into each other and just hang out, have a drink, and just get to chat, get to know each other. And that's what all of these people, I'm going through this list Cheryl Powers, super, super powerful networker here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. A couple episodes with me in there. We just throw those in there. We don't have time, right? Or when I didn't have a chance to get somebody else in there. Tim Berry, amazing sales guy, sales trainer. And he is somebody I have a ton of respect for. Super, super cool dude. Much more recent. And so all of this stuff, the reason I bring it all up is because these connections are all like a spider web. You connect with one person over here, and they're going to introduce you to that person. And that person's going to connect you with this organization over here. And next thing you know, that organization having you speak for an event. 3 people from that event reach out to you and say, hey, I would like to get to know more about you and see if you might help me on my business and stuff like that. That's why I do what I do. That's why I do this stuff. And that's what meeting cool people is really all about. It's about these connections and how we're all intertwined and how we can help each other out in all these different ways. I just had somebody today that I've been talking to for a couple of months now to try to get them on board as clients. And I introduced them to somebody that I knew from a different organization. And today they're posting a picture with with this guy at one of his events. And it's just a cool feeling that I helped make that happen. So the reason all of this comes into play, and I just rattled off a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm kind of a little rattly on this whole thing just because I'm not in my normal environment. But the reason I say all this stuff is because meeting cool people, the whole point of the show was to share not just the people, not the concept, but the idea behind the concept, the idea of getting out there, making friends, building connections, helping other people out, seeing how you can fit the dots together. I always tell people I like to play Tetris with human beings and see how the pieces fit together so we can all win the game. And that is a good way to really think about life. If you want to excel in life, and it doesn't have to be for business, although for business makes it a lot easier. But if you want to do that, think about that. Think about who are you connected to? Who are you connecting people to? Who are the people that you've met that have made an impact in your life? And how can you share that person with the rest of the world? Can you interview them for your podcast? Can you write something up about them? The whole idea of meeting cool people, when I first created it, I haven't done this for a while. I probably should bring it back. But when I first did that, I used to have, selfie pictures with people. And then I would write just a little post, probably, 300-400 words of introducing a specific person, why I thought they were so cool, and, sharing the picture and the story of how I met them and what kind of cool things they're doing in the world. This podcast is an extension of that, going to that next level. But you could even just, if you have a picture of the person or a picture with the person is even better. Hey, this is the person. I met them here. This is why I think they're so cool. And, that's a good way you can share your people with the rest of the world. You can share these people and make those connections to help them succeed, to help them get where they're looking for. Because in turn, that's going to help you as well. Okay? So with all of this said, I'm not even looking at time, so I have no clue what I've done here. Maybe I should take a look at my timer here. I'm just kind of rambling a little bit, but I think it's good stuff to talk about. What I want you to think about is, who do you know that you can share with one other person in the world? How can you make that introduction, whether that be through a podcast, through an introduction in social media, through a text message? Just yesterday, I mentioned Jeffrey Casanova earlier. Super, super cool dude. Way hardcore connector. He loves to introduce people. I connected him with the guy that I know who sells jerky because he was asked, do you know any jerky makers? And I said, yes, actually, I happen to. And some guy, Des, that I had met at a farmer's market, and he and I kicked it off in a great conversation about jazz music and a club that we both want to get to. He had mentioned it to me, and somebody else had just mentioned it to me, and I still haven't had a chance to get down there. But just yesterday, I sent a text to Des and Jeffrey together. I'm like, hey, you guys need to meet. This is Jeffrey. This is what he was asking for, Des. you know, this is Des, this is how cool he is how we hit it off, blah, blah, blah. What kind of things like that are you doing? How are you helping other people out? And then also, who is it you're looking for? Because that's also a question too. When you start building a network of amazing people, one of the best things to be able to do is to reach out and say, hey, do you know anybody in this? Or would you have a connection to this person? And see what happens. Because we are so connected in this world. It is such a powerful, powerful tool. So, first and foremost, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for helping make this what it is. I don't do this because I'm trying to get famous off of it. I couldn't care less about that part, honestly. I mean, it's so funny because I am a speaker. I love getting on stage, but it's not about the fame part. I really do. I don't want that part. What I want is I like getting on stage and sharing something and watching the eyeballs go off. It's like, oh, wait a minute, that was that person. I could see the click of something that I was teaching. That's what I actually get the most value out of. And the podcast for me, it's a good way for me to share the people that I have, that I've met, that I think are super cool, and then I want to share them with other cool people and see if I can help them all succeed. And going back to another great, great connection, Bob Bird, he's the author of The Go-Giver. If you haven't read it, I'm always promoting it. If you are on my list or you've heard me speak, you probably heard me talk about the book, because I talk about it all the time. It's all about that fact that, you give value first, and you're creating social karma. It's going to show up. You don't know why it's going to show up. You don't know when it's going to show up. It could be from that person. It could be by some complete stranger. You just know it's going to work in a good way. And so if you haven't read The Go-Giver, please do. So it'll make your life better. But this conversation even came up just a week or 2 weeks ago. And one of my clients, who's also part of this network that I keep talking about, Success Champions, she had mentioned about the book. And it was so funny because the whole thing came up because Bravis, who I mentioned earlier, was a guest on the show, was talking about The Go-Giver and why he thought it was such a good book and why everybody needs to live by that mindset. And Rachel was impressed, and I'm joking because I keep my copy of The Go-Giver literally on my desk. I share it all the time. So we're all on video on a Zoom, and I pull up the book and show everybody. And so she writes this post about how The Go-Giver has made such a big difference now that she's read it. She understands it better, and she's saying Bravis and me, and I think there was 2 other people that have also recommended the book to her. And then, of course, Bob gets tagged in all of this, and he comes in and is like thanking everybody for their kind words and telling my Rachel, the client I'm talking about, how honored he is that she got such value out of it and all that kind of stuff. So now he's brought into the whole conversation. So it's all cool stuff, and that's what it's all about. It's the go-giver mindset. That's what meet cool people is. It's like, how do you meet cool people? How do you have great conversations, and how do you share them with other people? Connect the dots. How can you play Tetris with other people and figure out a way that everybody gets to win the game? That's what it's about. So with all of that said, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for supporting. If you've been a guest on the show, this means a lot to me. I appreciate you being here. As most of you know, or I think most of, if not all of you know, I don't just have a random spot for people to listen to be a guest on the show. That's not the type of show that this is. This show is literally about people that I have had good conversations with, that we hit it off. We just had something gel, some kind of cool conversation. And I thought they were doing something cool, and I want to share that person with the world. That is the whole purpose of this show. And I've had some pretty darn cool people on here, and I'm very, very honored to have had that. So if you've been a guest of the show, thank you for coming and hanging out. It means the world to me. And if you've been a listener to the show, I appreciate it. That means a lot to me, because I put this out here for, so I can share with the right people. And if you're listening, it obviously means you're the right person. And you fit you're a cool kid, okay? So with that, thank you all so much. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and get out there. Have an amazing, amazing day. As always, like I always try to say at the end of these shows, if there's anything I can do to help you out, reach out, let me know. Take care. And that wraps up another Meet Cool People show. Now, if you like what you heard, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, or review so I can help introduce these amazing cool people to even more amazing cool people. And just remember, meeting cool people is just the beginning. You need to have a system in place to follow up with the amazing people that you meet. This is exactly what we do for our clients. If you'd like to see if my team and I can help you, go to followuprockstar.com and check out the case study video to see exactly how we're helping our clients turn casual connections into cash clients for life. Again, go to followuprockstar.com and we'll see how we can work together to turn you into a follow-up rockstar.